What's going on? TK coming at you. Master Wealth Builders LLC is the company that I represent, the company I started to try to financially empower people through information that I think should be able to help you if you implement some of the strategies and tactics in which I present to you. So the concept today is savings, right? How many people out there actually save? Think about it. 36% of your income goes to IRS, whether you want to or not. Statistics say that you should save 30% of your income. So 30% to, or 36% to income tax, another 30% should be going into savings. And if you do save that amount, let's just say you're disciplined enough to do it, you do save that amount, where do you put it? Typical savings account at a bank gives you what percent return on your investment? So what does the bank do with your money once you save it? How many people, we're in the age of information. You can Google anything, you can read any book you want to read. How many people have read The Creature from Jekyll Island? So based on fractional reserve banking, what does the bank do with your money once you save that 30%? What percent ROI are you receiving on your savings account if you are disciplined enough to save 30% of your income into a bank? So why not transition to become your own bank? Why not set up an infinity banking system where 30% of your income goes into a insurance contract? You set up a IUL, or you set up a deferred index annuity, or you set up an IUL with leverage, Kaizen, and you save 30% of your money in a policy that guarantees you minimum no loss, tax deferred or tax-free returns, and anywhere from 6 to 8% ROI. Does that math make sense? I mean, let's get real with each other. Does that math make sense? I mean, here's the deal. I was never taught this information. I took the time to study, pass a state exam for becoming an insurance agent, transitioned into a wealth strategist, because once you pass the test, the next step is to learn how to implement different strategies to protect, grow, and multiply other people's wealth. That's the whole purpose. Pass the test, learn these strategies, convey them to people so that they can invest, multiply, and protect. So who taught you about infinity banking? Does the math make sense? I just explained to you the basic principles on how to set it up, how it works, but does that make sense? And are you disciplined enough to put 30% into an infinity banking system? I mean, of course, the answer is no. The average person doesn't do it. The average person doesn't know about it. And 200 years of wealth, 1% of society that use these strategies have proven them to be very successful, have proven these strategies to be wealth generation tactics that benefit you long term. But the question is, how do you get everyone else involved? Now that we're in the 21st century, now that we're in 2023, where the restrictions have been lifted, the participation has opened to anyone with interest and money. So if you have 30% of your income and you want to set it up in an infinity banking system, if you choose to do that, you can. 200 years ago, it was only for the 1%. I personally had to study, research, and seek after infinity banking information. I paid a research financial newsletter a lot of money for them to just explain the concept to me. And they were like, here's a wealth strategy of the rich. Infinity banking. This is how you set it up. This is what it is. This is how the 1% have always protected, multiplied, and invested their money. So, okay, there's not very many people, or there's not very many companies that have IULs that structure them properly. There's not very many life insurance agents that actually know or focus on that strategy. So you navigate the waters and you think everything's a scam and you feel like I'm not going to do that. I've never been taught about that. You know, I didn't grow up in a household where we talked about money. I didn't grow up in a household where we had the dinner conversations about infinity banking, about family trusts, about corporate structure, about entity as a fiction, and the separation between your living being and your fictional entity that interfaces with all these other corporations in the world, where commerce is the driving factor within this economy. But if you don't grow up with those conversations, you lack that knowledge, and the lack of knowledge is what holds you back because it's used against you. You're considered sheep, cannon fodder, civilier mortus. You're considered a non-de jure. You're considered a non-entity, or a dead ward, meaning lack sound mind in decision making. So it's always been said that this is reserved for the 1% because the everyday people aren't smart enough to even understand the tactics and principles that it takes to participate. So even though the door is open for you to have a family trust, the door is open for you to set up an infinity banking system, the door is open for you to save 30% of your income, not in a bank, but in your own bank. The choice, the freedom of choice, the free will that exists in every single human being still gives you the option to say, I'm not interested, to say that doesn't apply to me. Even though that multiple years and multiple wealthy families have proven these strategies to not only be successful, but to be very effective in setting up generational wealth and setting up a legacy where you have assistance and you're able to leverage that assistance at any time. No matter what it is you're trying to use it for, once you have it in place, you can then just use leverage to basically navigate this commerce system. So what I mean when I say wealth strategists is I'm talking about strategies that you can implement that make financial sense to basically take your younger self and benefit your older self. Because that's the nature of insurance. The younger you start, the lower the cost of insurance. So if somebody would have told me all of the information in which I studied to pass a test, when it comes to financial services industry, if somebody would have told me the same information, hey, let me come talk to you about this in my 20s. And I said, you know what, this makes sense. I see the families that have used family trusts. I see the research and behind infinity banking. And I'm 20 years old. I wish somebody would have sat down and talked to me about these things. I wish somebody would have had the and the willing to just say, hey, this is something that's going to help you. Let me explain this to you. So now we're in the age of information where this video pops up on social media and I'm talking about the same tactics, same strategies. And I'm saying, hey, because I passed the state exam, I can help you set up the same things. And you're like, I'm not interested. And I'm scratching my head saying our people fail because we have what? The lack of knowledge, and that knowledge is held against us. At some point, every human being has the free will to decide to be different, to act, to implement. But no one can help you unless you truly decide to help yourself.